this, say, database of transactions of a certain time and seeing how your controls perform. So I was thinking...
Right. The thing I do here is that I look at the procedure that already have the control. Like the documentary credit procedure, they already specify the control. Okay, and here like, let's see. Here is a sum of the control that they require. According to this procedure, when the seller delivers goods to the carrier, to the dominated buyer, the carrier issue a shipping document to the seller. This is, they say, informally. But if we look at the control perspective, these are control requirements.
She's not asking you, she's not expecting you that you have done this data analysis. She's asking your opinion about, okay, can it be applied on that scenario that she is giving. So don't go into the slide, just try to explain it.
Because I thought that meant
she's asking more about your expert opinion, okay, what do you think about what she's saying.
Okay. So the thing here is that we need to compare the result against something. Right? Otherwise we cannot just, why we need this requirement? Why we need this? This is individual opinion or what? We need to compare against certain thing, a certain empirical data. And I use the available model here is for that purpose. They have requirement already, and I come up with a set of control requirements generated by the method and compares against them. It seemed to me, initially sound like a reinventing the wheel. They have already what you need to come up. But the trade-off is here. In order to design some kind of a flexible or loosely coupled transaction for specific transaction, now like flexible supply chain, for instance, you cannot do it manually. Like the documentary credit procedure has been evolved for more than 200 years into this one. We cannot wait for that period of time. We need to have something formally and automatically to do the task. So we use that one to validate. However, the possible application may be to loosely couple interorganizational control system for specific transaction. This kind of thing, manually verification is not possible or infeasible.
I'm going to make a little friendly addendum to what you just said. That one of the things we're thinking, in this work, he's emphasized the fraud aspect. There is another aspect involving procedures about corruption. So fraud is sort of what the clients of the procedures do, and corruption is sort of what the clerks can do. And both of them are problems. And what the idea we're playing with for the future, not in this research, but for the future, is there's quite an active emerging literature in multi-agent systems, multi-agent simulations. So simulating the influence of one on the other. And there's some very interesting examples out there, for instance, on the way societies decide to segregate, how ethnic groups segregate and so forth. And we're thinking of using that because it's very hard to get information like corruption, by definition, is secretive. They don't publish, and fraud is almost that secretive. Companies don't like to announce, how successful people are at frauding. So, in some sense, you have to make some assumptions, and then you can sort of test it on hypothetical data. It's not quite actual data, but for some future procedure, that might be the best you can do.
Could you actually do hypothetical, if you were doing a process redesign to make it simpler? A lowering of transaction costs, something like that.
Sure.
That would be a very low-hanging fruit for that.
Right. That is the essential objective, to redesign the procedure.
Shall we go to the next visitor?
Okay, I have actually a couple of questions. I don't want to. Okay, I guess firstly the comment about you mentioned the develop a formal method. Okay, again, it's about terminology. When you say formal method, it's very targeted in computer science based on some theory. It looks like more like approach or methodology because you are doing this step, that step, you're using this, that. Okay, so, and I meant when you say a formal method, really, I don't think it's very accurate in this case. can say approach.
What would be the
Rigorous
criteria of a
approach.
formal method?
And normally, if you look at in computer science, formal method is based on mathematical foundation, something like you will see this kind of thing, and that involve a process number. The formal method is representation, logically formal method. And then involve the pragmatics of it, how to use the process and apply this. It seems to his approach involves multiple steps. I want to do this, use that, and it involves lots of different methods. Some are formal, some are not formal. Some involve programming, some involve logic.
Yeah, I think maybe in the presentation, I try to take out all of the notation or the mathematical background as you just said.
No, that's fine. It involves some formal method, but the overall is a process, approach, I would say. Involves not just a method, or you can't call a methodology. Involves multiple methods in it. I think
So maybe a methodology.
A methodology of generate whatever control
Or a technique.
Approach. Technique is the scope is small.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
It's not a technique.
Maybe a framework approach.
No, I don't like framework.
No,
No.
I overloaded that.
The methodology is really
Framework always means there is nothing.
Okay.
Frameworks mean
Okay, a methodology.
The methodology is getting up.
Yeah.
It's a virtual framework.
Okay. Anyway, so that's just a comment about the two.
Yeah, thank you.
The thing is about unfortunately I didn't have the thesis. I just like you said the Deontic feature nets. So I want you to just briefly explain to me why you call Deontic feature nets, and then what's the difference between this and other feature nets, and what's the semantic.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Let's have a chance to look at the demo again.
Now we go to the appendix.
Thank you. The best way to show an example, the best way to explain. Okay, what I do here, you see there's a certain formula associated with state and transition.
But it's a leading question. You might, because knowing where he's coming from, is it really a different kind of Petri net? Or is it simply an interpreted Petri net?
Yeah, I don't think this is a new kind of Petri net, as I said here. This is an add-on, to a condition event net with formulas on state and transition to model action and deontic relation. To model deontic chain and deontic relation is more specific.
So it's not even a colored Petri net.
No, it's a condition event net. It's very specific.
But I don't think it's condition event net. See, because you attach interpretation to all place transitions, and this is indeed a high-level feature net. And so, but it is not.
Why do you say it's high level?
Yeah, why? Yeah.
Why do you say it's high level?
See, look at simple control is fine, but how do you interpret? That semantics is attached to it. So it is actually a combination of formal method and informal method.
No, this is not the text. No, sorry. This is not the text. This is the formula, and the syntax and the semantic of this formula has been defined rigorously in chapter 4.
That is fine, but if you take everything away, look at that feature net. It doesn't have any. It has execution. The token gets there, right?
Sure.
But what happens is, how do you understand it? It doesn't tell you exactly what's going on, right?
Sure. It tells you exactly from here.
So
seller have an obligation to the buyer.
That is for each place you have to define it with attach a formula to it.
Yes, I have defined the formula attached to
So
the
that
place.
is not low-level feature net.
Consider, what I'm hearing him say, maybe, is in prologue, all of these capital letters are variables. So
No, it's not.
Wait a second. Hang on. So where do the bindings come from? They would have to come from the tuple. That is, for a particular instance coming through here, it would have to be, it's not just a dot. It would have to be a tuple that gives the constants, that gives the binding of who is the seller, what are they delivering.
Right,
so-
right. That's in the
So
definition.
that's first thing. Yeah, actually, it's
So
high
you agree
level.
with that, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. But further than that, actually, it's beyond that. Look at that place, P1. What does P1 mean? You mean that whole formula is P1. Is that right?
The P1 with a token here means that this formula holds.
It's true.
It's true.
That's right. So actually, that place is not simple place. In P